What? Recording is in progress.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, kids. Welcome back to unpaidmoviecritics.com. I am Mike from Mike the Fanboy. I am joined by the incomparable, the woman who says, no, I will not allow anyone else to write the lyrics to Squeeze songs. I am writing my Squeeze song fan fiction by myself in my closet. It is Detroit Film Critic Association member, writer for week99.com, Miss Becky Fixel.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. So, despite the rest of the world falling apart, I saw you post on your site this week about the Godfather 50th anniversary.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Were you able to attend that?
I was not.
Oh,
I was actually at an event for Coda.
Okay.
And it was, I have to tell you, so SAG, I have a couple of guilds I'm in, and SAG voting actually ended today at noon. So,
okay.
So it's today. And then the SAG Awards are actually Sunday. And I tried to watch everything, you never catch everything, but I try to be good. And finally I was able to see a movie called Coda, which you may or may not have heard of. I will tell you, it became my favorite movie of the year.
Well, and that's what, it's one of those with the list of the best films or whatever that are up for the awards. It's the only one I think that really has a chance. Because the other ones, depends. I guess it depends on who's voting. So with the Academy,
I don't really know. People keep, jacking off Power of the Dog. And I have a screening of that on tomorrow that I don't think I'm going to go to. But I mean, there's been screenings everywhere.
Isn't that on Netflix?
Yeah.
So why would you go sit in a theater with a bunch of people with COVID and you can do it at home?
Well, because Benedict Cumberbatch, Kristen Dunst, Jesse Plemons, Cody Smith-McPhee are all going to be there.
Okay, which is fair. And I mean, if it's got the round table and you get a chance to interview him, Cumberbatch is a really good interview. But,
also
watch it at home.
Yeah, I don't really want to see it. So it's really one of those things. I don't want to see it. And I really haven't wanted to see it. And I don't know. It wasn't one of those ones that I kept hearing about it. I was like, you know what? Not the time for me to watch this. Coda in and of itself, while it wasn't a heavy movie, it was more of the slice of life, coming of age kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you.
Which is your thing.
Yeah, I love those things.
You do love those things.
Amelia Jones, who is in Lock and Key on Netflix, she blew me away.
Really?
She was so good. And on Lock and Key, I mean, I don't know if she has an opportunity to really show range, because that show is very tweeny. And I'm still watching season 2. I actually started watching season 2 because of Codex. I was like, oh, let me just rewatch this. Or actually, I saw season 1 and didn't see season 2. That should be the thing. And so now I'm watching season 2 because I liked her so much in Coda. And yeah, even in here, she's not nearly as powerful as she was in Coda. Probably the material, but that movie was such a revelation. It was so good, and she was amazing. The fact that she didn't get in for Best Actress is probably only because she's 20.
Probably.
Not everyone can be Saoirse Ronan, but if she had something else that she had, kind of like where she was building, she would have got nominated for this because she was way better than Lady Gaga. Way better than Jennifer Hudson. I don't know if it was a performance like Jessica Chastain, I should say, or Nicole Kidman, because it was a different movie.
It's a whole different kind of genre, yeah.
But hell, she was, honestly, the last scene was so touching, and it was a little contrived. But it wasn't, I didn't feel manipulated emotionally, which is, a lot of times in a film, you're like, oh, you can see where this is going. And even though you're kind of like, well, that will never really happen. But
That's a lot of the time in movies. Oh yeah, that
Right.
won't happen. This can't happen. Even if it's one that's based in realism, there's
Yeah.
and it's you just go, oh, it's Hollywood. So
But I was really impressed,
that's good.
must admit. So yay.
Yeah.
I definitely suggest checking it out if you guys. It's on Apple TV streaming, and I'm sure it's available for download. But that, if you're looking for Oscar movies that are accessible and not like you have to get a dissertation to watch, that really is one of them. And I highly suggest checking it out because I adored it. And it's nice because it also gives you a really great perspective on the deaf community and what they go through and stuff I didn't know. And actually, as a writer, I was like, gosh, it'd be really great to write, a deaf character. I didn't even think about it until I saw this movie, and I'm like, ooh, I would love that.
I was going to say it is not available on Amazon. I'm looking right now. They have a
It was an Apple TV movie.
Okay, because I know some of the other ones on Apple TV are available on other streaming and download services. So yeah, but that one is not available. If you go on Amazon and you look, there's a 2020 movie called Coda with Patrick Stewart and Katie Holmes.
Not this one, no.
No, that's not the same thing.
This one has Marlee Matlin, and she's the main star, and Emilia Jones, and Troy, I'm going to say this incorrectly, Katsur, or I think that's the name. This is how you say his last name. He's nominated for an Oscar for it, for Best Supporting Actor, and rightly so. And honestly, to be completely frank, Marlee Matlin could have been nominated because she was great. And the brother, her brother, Emilia Jones' brother, all of the four main leads were so well written and well acted. They all could have been nominated. It was that good.
That's good.
Yeah. I bet you if it was a Netflix movie, it probably would have gotten a little more prep. It's been that under the sleeper that people keep watching and are like, oh, and it leaves you with that feeling. And I loved it. So
I mean, and out of all of, Netflix had a bunch that they did small theater openings, or not small theaters, but smaller openings so they could get into the award season.
Right.
And then, and out of all of those, I want to say Tick Tick Boom was probably the only one that I would actually put something up for. Although I think almost all of them, except for The Harder They Fall, got up for awards.
Right. Netflix puts a lot of money behind their awards. And rightfully, they have the money to spend, apparently. Because they got Roma, that got Alfonso Cuarón his Oscar.
Yeah.
And this year it looks like Jane Champion will probably get Best Director for Power of the Dog.
Which
I don't know about the acting. Well, I don't know. I just wonder. I think it will be an interesting year. Everyone's predicting Power of the Dog, Power of the Dog, Power of the Dog. I wonder if people are going to really reward it like they're talking about. I don't know. I think it's interesting to see.
I want to say for like the regular everyday person, maybe not, but like for the awards, it's a whole level that we don't get that, we're not privy to how they're making their decisions.
Well, I do know people in the Academy, and I have talked to some of them, and everyone, my one friend, he actually didn't see Coda yet, and I was like, dude, you got to see Coda. I think it'll be one of your favorite movies this year. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, he didn't like Power of the Dog, and he didn't like a few of the others. He actually liked Licorice Pizza, which I was shocked by because it was awful, in my humble opinion.
I didn't see it. I refused to, just on the premise of the movie.
Well, it's a weird, it is a weird premise. It's an older woman who's 21 falling in love with a 14-year-old.
It's grooming.
But it's really strange the way they did it. And there was it felt, and I'll get, you can flame me as much as you want. It makes there's no point to it.
Right.
And the ending is dumb. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a love letter to the Valley. It's all shot around my house, which I think is funny. And to be frank, I just was bored.
What I was told before, the name, I was like, the name's stupid anyhow. But I was told that it was the director or the writer, it was his fantasy. So that he wrote the movie as his fantasy playing out. So being the 14-year-old, a much older woman, 21 at the time, falling for him and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I
It's
mean,
a weird, it really was strange. Um, the whole thing was strange. That whole movie was weird to me. It didn't, the performances I thought were okay. And again, I don't understand when you write a character who all of a sudden everybody falls in love with, and there's no point, like
right.
this would not happen. Like, not everyone falls in love with, the plain Jane. I'm sorry, like it's just the truth in life. It's like there has
There's
to be
somebody out there
something.
for everyone, but not everyone is going to fall in
Right,
love with one person.
exactly, and there has to be a reason.
Right.
Like, look, you gave her a real fun personality where she was quick-witted and quirky and fun. Okay, I get ya. You know what I mean? Like, I could see why
Yeah.
people would be really drawn to someone like that. But this movie, I just felt like the lead was kind of a dud anyway. Like, I didn't think she was bad as the actress. I just thought the character was written as generic.
Right.
It's like, why is it all happening? When you have to question that.
Right. And it reminds me, like, I don't know if you've ever seen these videos. They're all over TikTok, and it's this girl who's on there reading women written in love stories by men.
Yeah.
And that's what that reminds me of. They don't understand, that she's a human, she's a full person,
Person.
personality as well. And yeah, she has a history and all of that as well. You know, so that's kind of what that sounds like to me.
In a way, it's very much like that. It's more like she's the ethereal person that he was in love with, so he only saw her through that lens. And
Yeah.
like she was real, because and there are a couple of scenes when you're like, oh yeah, I could see why someone would be really attracted to someone who did something like that. But
Right.
it didn't go anywhere. It's like a limp penis. It just lays there.
Yes.
What I felt like. I honestly, that's what I felt. I was like, I was so bored, and the movie title wasn't even in the movie. I was like waiting for them to go to the record store, because Licorice Pizza was a record store.
Okay.
They didn't even go to a record store at all in the movie.
But isn't that like, that's when it comes to the weird names and stuff, you expect that to show up somewhere.
Well, give it some context. I mean,
Yeah. Because if you don't have context, what's the freaking point?
at least that was me. Maybe I missed something when I was checking my email, because I was that bored when I was watching my screener.
So that
Yeah.
reminds me of it's another one of the Netflix contenders, the not the Power of the Dog, the Hand of God.
I didn't see it.
It's an Italian one, and again, it's another one that has it's a very, very weird sex scene in it with grooming, like old lady to a teenage boy, like
Yeah.
elderly lady. And it's just the whole movie. And I understand foreign movies are quirky and different, and some of my favorite movies are foreign movies.
Right.
Bring up Amelie anytime. I will sit there and watch it. I speak like 2 sentences of French. I don't care. Subtitles not a big issue.
She's great. The lead girl in Amelie. I actually oh my god, I'm blanking her name.
I should know it too.
It's on my tip of my tongue. I know her name, but I loved her in it. She was so good. And that was Jean-Pierre Jeunet, and he actually went on to do Alien Resurrection, which was one of the worst Alien movies in the canon. Which I don't think it's really his fault. I don't think he spoke English, and
Yeah.
it's like
It's
you have
first,
a
yeah.
director who doesn't speak English with a script that Joss Whedon wrote. FYI, so Joss Whedon is so American, and besides, let's just take out everything from the Joss Whedonness of it all. But he wrote the script,
Right.
and then you have a guy who spoke French trying to translate Joss Whedon's script to a cast who doesn't speak French. We had
Right.
a translator. Oh, I mean, it was just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. I mean, there's good ones out there, but this one was just awkward, weird. And I know I'm not the only one. If you start Netflix and you start a movie and it's a foreign movie and it didn't tell you that in the blurb, you
Oh,
stop,
right.
right? Right. You just like, you have to be in the mood for that. And there's so many weird and gross parts of that movie. Like they beat the crap out of somebody just because they can.
Right.
Why? It has nothing to do with the story.
Nothing to
And that one's up for an award too. I think it's best foreign film. And I'm just like, if that's one of the best, meh.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, this year we've already kind of covered that ground, but it is award season. So, we will be talking about that for a little bit longer. I'm supposed to see, I still haven't seen Dune. I keep on my fucking agenda.
and that's up for 8 awards or something, or 12.
Yeah. I have it. Like, I mean, it's there physically. I don't know if it's like I want to sit down and really be able to watch it, or that, I don't want to watch it at midnight, or you know what I mean? Like, it's like I wanna be able to do it. So
And it's another one of those long ass movies. It's
right.
post-pandemic movie issue that they all come out, and maybe it's because these directors have had 2 years at home that they can just sit there and edit everything, or decide, we've got all this extra film, let's just keep adding it on. Because like the new one that I just saw yesterday, Batman, the new Batman, 2 hours and 55 minutes. You need a freaking intermission. I'm sorry. That is ridiculous. I don't know, like, it's long, it's dark, it's not a bad story, and it's not the same story being rehashed. But at one point, I got up and used the bathroom. And normally, when I'm screening a movie, if I have to get up and use the bathroom, I'll go quick and come back. I chatted with one of the local reps. I went to the bathroom and I took my time coming back because I wasn't going to miss much. It was just taking that long to tell the story.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Was the story, I'm actually really curious.
So it's not the same story. It's not the same story we've seen over and over and over and over. We don't see his parents get killed.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I give them complete credit. The story is actually interesting. I just think they spent way too freaking long, and it's slow. And I think the problem, I'm conflicted on him as Batman. And I think you and I discussed this yesterday. When he has the cowl on and the jawline, that's Batman. I have no question. He doesn't do the creepy voice that Christian Bale did. So, it's probably better on his vocal cords too. But, everything there is Batman. As soon as he takes it off, that's not Bruce Wayne. So I'm conflicted there.
What was the reason? Was it he was too young? The haircut has been throwing me off in the trailers.
So it's part of that. It's like, okay, so I know this sounds really bad. It's like they didn't get enough of the vampire glitter and the magic from Hogwarts off him. They put black hair dye in, and he's trying to be emo and moody. And it just, to me, he's super stiff, and it's like he tried to be deep in these emotions, and it's just not coming off. And we know he can play, the rich spoiled kid. That's not the issue. But it was just like and I think he even said in interviews that his Batman, he's the weirdo. But even when he first interacts with Selena Kyle, there's like this whole scene that is like he's almost like a peeping Tom. And like he's peeking into her apartment from afar, and she's going into her room and changing, and he's watching. And I'm just like, does this need to be here?
Was it because he was like scoping her out as the killer or as the thief?
He was trying to find somebody she knew. And she goes back to her apartment, and that person is there. I'm not going to give too much away. And the other person is upset. She goes in her room to change, and she gets in her black zip up outfit, which is off the rack. She didn't make it herself. And
really?
It's a whole different Catwoman. She has a backstory. She's not this mentally deranged one like the version you love.
Well, okay. The version I love,
your Michelle Pfeiffer version.
Michelle Pfeiffer version. You can't get any better than Michelle Pfeiffer. No one will compare. No one will touch it. Let's just be real. Now, I also like the Julie Newmar version. I thought she did a great job. There's really are no other Catwomans for me. Don't even talk about Anne Hathaway because let her go.
So this is going to show my dorkiness. There's the saying, like for Doctor Who fans, that you never forget your first doctor, right? Whoever your first doctor is the one they tend to love and follow, and that is their doctor. And I think it's that same kind of way with Batman, because it's been out since 1966 was the first movie.
Yeah.
And everybody has their favorite. And as a kid, I grew up with the Tim Burton versions. And that kind of fast-paced, kind of goofy,
Yeah.
version, those are the ones I know and I love. So I understand Gotham is supposed to be this gritty, dark city, and basically it's New York City. They just changed a couple signs in the movie. Although there were a couple scenes that I was like, that almost looked like Chicago, but whatever.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, okay, I understand it's dark, it's gritty. They played heavily on the Gothic architecture in Bruce, his tower home or whatever. But it's like all of the color and fun that was in Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad
Yeah.
was sucked out of this movie. This movie is so dark. It's
Yeah.
gray, blacks, and all that. Add a little bit. And even the Riddler, there it's dark. It's not like the bright green of the Riddler we grew up with. It's almost like a moss green desaturated.
Well, yeah. I mean, they clearly went to the Christopher Nolan school of.
Which I like those versions too, but
Two of them were good.
okay. But at least, those movies kept my attention better. And when I'm in a press screening, I can't check my phone. I can't pull it out or they'll kick me out.
Right.
So, I've got a couple notifications and texts from you on my watch. But, other than that, it's just the whole thing is dark. And when you come out of the theater, we came out, it's like I said, 2 hours and 55 minutes. It was 4 o'clock. It's so freaking bright in the rest of the world because
Yeah.
it's like you've been in darkness for 3 hours.
Wow, that's really interesting. I was actually thought you would come back out and say, I really liked this. It was worth it. Da 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 da. I'm actually a 3-hour movie. First off,
Yeah.
you fucking long.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't like it. That's the thing. I'm conflicted if I like it or not. The story's good. I just,
They introduced 3 villains, right? They introduced Catwoman, Penguin, and Riddler.
yes, technically 4, and she's kind of not a villain.
Well, she was never really a villain. Like she was always her character.
She's a bad guy, but she's not.
She was always on her own. She was
Yeah.
very much like, I'm out for myself. It wasn't like I'm a bad guy. It was, I will do what I need to do for myself.
And Zoe Kravitz is playing Catwoman, and I liked her in this role, and she did well. She has much different motivations than any of the other versions we've had in the past.
Mm.
But then at the same time, I put it through, like I do all of these movies, it would not pass that Bechdel test because she's not having any meaningful conversations or any built up anything in her story that does not deal with a man.
Oh.
So I'm like, I like this version. The whole thing had me really conflicted. So when they asked for like my what I thought about it when I left the theater, and I was like, well, I have thoughts. I need to process before, and I spent probably a good hour writing the article this morning because I'm just like, there's so many things I like and don't like, and I thought Pattinson was going to be the main issue I had, and he wasn't as Batman. I don't mind him as Batman, just not Bruce Wayne.
Interesting.
Right.
And when the original Batman came out in 1989 with Michael Keaton, I heard a lot of people say that about Michael Keaton. Like, Batman, he was fine, as they didn't buy him as Bruce Wayne.
Was it Val Kilmer? They liked him as Bruce Wayne, but not Batman.
Not Batman. Yeah.
So it's this weird,
It's I think it's a very thankless character because you're kind of stoic and then you're kind of a playboy. So you're like, it's a very tough character to pull off in a lot of ways.
Do the playboy side of it. That's the thing too. So I was like, okay, I don't know. It's just, you're going to have to go and see it or go to a screening if you have one. But, if you don't have too many plans next weekend, definitely check it out. Right. I mean, I think the first major release they're doing that they're not putting directly on HBO at the same time too. So, which kind of sucks. And I understand because they're trying to get the DC numbers up. I don't think they're ever going to get Marvel numbers, but I
mean, what are Marvel numbers at this point? I mean, in reality, Marvel's
oversaturated their own market.
Yeah.
I love Marvel stuff, but it's really kind of hard now. Like we've said in the past, some of them are great. And then some of them are just total flops, like Eternals. Eternals
was unwatchable. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Eternals was just boring as a dog's ass. it was like staring at an asshole for like 2 hours. And Angelina didn't save it for me.
No, I mean, she's beautiful and does, in everything she does, but her character, I think, was underutilized. And
I didn't really get it. Her character was underutilized. I didn't care about anybody.
And there's too many people. And even if they have, okay, that one bothers me because there's so many characters and they're named after Greek legends and mythology that we know, and yet we still don't remember their names.
Yeah.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
Because name recognition we should have at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think Angie was Athena.
Yes.
Icarus was, I think, Richard Madden. That was it.
Sprite was the younger girl.
Ugh, don't even start.
But too many characters in a long ass movie again. And I understand, they've had years to cut all of this stuff, but maybe consider the fact we've sat on our asses at home for the past 2 years watching streaming that we can pause at any freaking point.
I saw it on streaming.
Yeah.
I was still.
It's too long, but it's also one of those things that it's like, it's hard to actually, sit there for that long.
No, it's true. I mean, I had the same issue with Black Widow. I'm like, all right, come on. It's just getting to be too much. And honestly, so I finally watched Peacemaker. Did you watch Peacemaker on HBO Max?
Not yet, no.
I have to tell you, going on the superhero train, it was really fun.
Okay, because somebody was asking about that yesterday before the screening, and I was like, no, I've been spending my time watching more of these real life scammer shows like Tinder Swindler, and that's what I've been wasting my time with.
Well, I didn't really even want to watch it because I hated Suicide Squad so much.
Yeah.
And Scott was like, oh, let's watch it. And literally midway through, which I've been enjoying. Nice thing is it's a short runtime.
Mm-hmm.
So all the episodes I think they're between a half hour and 45. And that's nice. James Gunn wrote a lot of them or all of them.
Okay, so they have some potential.
Well, yes and no. And here's the funny kicker.
Yes.
I was really sitting there and I'm like, Scott and I were talking and he goes, I went, what? And he goes, this is literally Guardians of the Galaxy. And I went, well, oh yeah. And you could put she's Gamora.
Oh no.
Drax. This guy is Star-Lord.
He just reused his formulas.
He literally reused the same formula and it worked because it was fun. I enjoyed it.
But we've already seen that.
He rewrote Guardians.
I mean, we're so like that one. I don't know if even is on our list to check out, but we're behind on some of the series. We just started watching Book of Boba Fett last night. So
I haven't seen that yet either.
One episode in, I'm like Star Wars playing on my phone. I'm like, it's the same shit over and over and over. But
I couldn't get into Mandalorian. So
I enjoyed the Mandalorian, but
I rewatched episodes 1 and 2. I watched episodes 1 and 2 and I was bored as a dog. Oh, this is awful. And then there was a FYC screening.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend is a huge Star Wars fan. So I said, okay, they're doing a Mandalorian event, maybe they won't show the first 2 episodes and whatever. Of course they showed the first 2 episodes. So it's a drive-in and it's like you're breathing in car exhaust, which is really fun. And I'm like, well, maybe it'll be better, or rewatch. On the rewatch, bored as hell again. So I just couldn't. I tried twice. I'm like, nope.
No, it's not worth it. I mean, it's very easy to start watching something and instantly go, nope, that's not it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's better, I enjoyed Mandalorian, but this one, first episode, granted, we started at like 11:30 last night or something, or maybe it just seems that late, but I was just kind of like, I'm tired, whatever, it's okay, but I can check my email, play on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah. Or watch Hell's Kitchen. It's all the same.
That's one of my shows for whenever I'm traveling. I find that show or whatever the supermarket one where they make them run and get ingredients and cook things.
The supermarket sweep. When you hear that beep, It's
I
the
used to
supermarket.
love that show as a kid and wanted to be on it so bad.
I thought
But,
that.
you know, I don't know. It seems like we're going to a time that there's something actually movies coming out that I want to see.
Yeah. There's
So
coming. I still haven't seen Spider-Man. I do want to see that.
I haven't
Uh,
either.
and I was supposed to see King Richard again, going on the Oscar train yesterday, and then Will Smith canceled his Q&A, so I didn't see it, and it was made
Also,
it
that
very
one's on HBO.
difficult. I don't think it is anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
no, that's right. It's rental right now.
yeah, so I couldn't really vote for it. I felt bad, but
Honestly,
I was actually waiting to vote until after the screening, and then Will Smith went virtual for a screening, and I was like, forget it. I'm not trekking my ass all the way across the country, which that's what West Hollywood is from where I am apparently.
all the way. Yes.
Well, it is a commitment because you got to leave, you got to deal with traffic, you got to park, stand in line, check in. It's not like one of those things where someone would look at it and go, oh yeah, this is awesome, and it is, trust me, but it does suck time out of your day.
I mean, yesterday, I besides the movie being 3 hours, I had about half hour, 45 minutes each direction driving to get there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was all freaking day. I wanted to do some errands on the way, but there was traffic. So that just didn't happen. And then Starbucks somehow, there was a big chunk of plastic in my latte. So I was like, because I'm going into a 3-hour movie, I'm like, coffee might be ideal. And then
Yeah.
it was plastic chunk in my coffee.
Nice.
It was a good day. Yeah.
Well, would you recommend the Batman then? I know you said you're mixed, but would you tell people to see it?
If you are a Batman fan, yes, because it's a different story. Like, and I'm not a comic nerd, so I don't know like if it's true to any comics, but it's a much different version than we've ever seen. I don't know.
I would say, because it does feel like everything has been rehashed 100,000 times.
Yes. I mean, they mention his parents being killed, and they actually kind of give a backstory of why that happens too.
Okay.
So, I think that part is interesting. So I think the story is interesting. I just think it takes way too freaking long.
Well,
so get yourself the big popcorn. Don't drink anything if you don't want to run to the bathroom.
Right.
For 3 hours. But yeah, if you like Batman, I'd say go see it.
All right. I mean, well, that's not, I mean,
by the time this is live, my full review of the movie will be on my site. So you can go to week99er.com and pull that up. It'll be.
Was that a week99er.com, Becky?
It was. It is because, and the good thing is we're talking about this way before this publishes, but the embargo will be up by the time this episode is live. So
right.
We can discuss.
Yeah, out of curiosity, how was Colin Farrell? That good, huh? Great.
Shit.
He was Penguin.
Was he?
Yeah, unrecognizable.
Yeah, okay. So that I'm like, he was in that? Yeah, I don't think Penguin. Okay, so Penguin I thought was interesting. Besides, they make him more a mob boss, which he technically is, I think, in the comics, but he's not the Danny DeVito Penguin, obviously.
Yeah, I'm eating raw fish and drooling on
right.
That version was not my favorite. That was the weak link of that movie.
It was, but they kept some of the physical things. Like he still has the kind of pointy nose. It's almost like beak-like nose. So, there's some physical like callbacks to that character from that version. So I found, which is probably a callback to the comics, but I didn't know that was him. But yeah, I didn't mind him as that character. So I found it, I don't know, like they're just kind of gritty and arty and,
Yeah. Who was Riddler? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't. I am really bad with names anyhow, which is, a problem when it comes to, our job. But that's okay. There is that beautiful IMDb. So give me my cast.
And I will tell you, Zoe Kravitz, I actually really enjoy her work. Did you see High Fidelity on Hulu? It was only lasted one season, but
No, I didn't.
was really well done, and she was really good in it.
Um,
It only lasted the one season. I'm actually was kind of surprised.
and I liked the movie, so I probably should have seen it, but I did not.
Really good.
Paul Dano plays Riddler.
Dano, interesting.
Yeah.
He was Escape from Dannemora.
Okay.
And he was also in that Sandra Bullock movie, Murder on the First or First Murder or something like that.
Yeah, see, I'm not too familiar with him.
He was also in that Steve Buscemi mob show on HBO. Brooklyn something, was it? It started with the B. That's all I remember.
Okay, what year was that one?
It was a while ago, I think. And I think it lasted like 5 or 6 seasons.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he was in that. I think he was in that. Don't quote me on it now. Now I'm worried. But
I mean, I think I've seen him he was in Little Miss Sunshine. I've seen that, but that was a long freaking time ago. He was in The Sopranos.
maybe it's The Sopranos I was thinking about that he was in.
Possibly.
I mean, he works quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't know him like by like if I see his face on the screen, I don't know who he is. So, but I'm that way with a lot of major actors too. So that's
It's an interesting choice for Riddler. I mean, I wouldn't have actually, but I guess with what they're going for, it's a little bit different than traditional Jim Carrey dancing around, with this cane and
right. And I mean, and I think too, like they kind of updated some of the things, like the Riddler. He's taunting him with like social media and videos and things like that. So it's more kind of our time versus like obviously Jim Carrey playing the mask as the Riddler.
Yeah.
So
that was such a painful movie.
And it's funny because Jim Carrey, I don't hate him as an actor, but that whole period where he was doing that super overacting physical acting, not my favorite.
No, it wasn't. Mine either.
He does it well.
I mean, look, I liked The Mask. I thought it was fun when it came out. I never needed to see it again.
No.
Or the same thing. It's like, okay, I'll see it, but it's like, okay. His movies I really like are like Man on the Moon, Eternal Sunshine, which I know is a conflicting choice for you, but those are the movies I think of his that are really good. Truman Show. I even like Yes Man, and
I hated the Truman Show. I don't know why. I remember watching it. I've seen it a couple of times since, and I cannot get behind the Truman Show. Although I'm thinking of it now with like the product placement and being in the influencer space, it's kind of this weird other side of it.
It's funny when things actually come in to real world. There's a movie that was the sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show, Shock Treatment, that I think we had mentioned a little bit before in an earlier show. And that movie, while it didn't do well in its initial release, it really was the precursor to a lot of the shit that we're going through now. With social media and influencers and all that stuff, which I don't understand why it's maintained. But here we are.
As somebody that works in social media yourself,
I know.
Social media campaigns.
Constantly, I know.
You don't know how it's maintained for so long.
You know what? To be frank, these people are just like, wow, all right, whatever. I mean, especially the TikTokers. It's like all you're doing is dancing without underwear on, which I mean, it's fun for everybody, but
I was gonna say TikTok, your For You page is what the algorithm. Algorithm thinks you want to see. So if you're seeing a bunch of people shaking their ass, Michael, that's what you want to see.
Well, yeah. But there are other things for TikTok, I mean, that are there. But
I was gonna say mine is a bunch of gardening and cute animals and social justice stuff. And although right now it's very heavy on what's happening in the Ukraine.
Right.
So, that was kind of my retreat the last couple of years when I needed something lighter. Not so much right now.
Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, it's really crazy. It's like, I don't even know.
But no one does. is what the answer is on that one. You know,
No, just
I'll tell you, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and we were going, and she was going on about masks and how it doesn't make sense and this and that. And I'm like, I can't anymore.
no.
I don't want to have a fight about something I can't do anything about. I don't want to argue about something I can't do anything about. I don't care anymore. If they're telling me I have to wear a mask to go to Ralph's, I'll throw a fucking mask on. Just
Right.
let it go. Like, if it's stopping people from getting sick, and you know, if it gets us out of where we are, great. Done. I'm just done.
Exactly.
You can get done with this whole situation by wearing a fucking mask. Wear a fucking mask. That's it. You know what? I'm just tired. I don't want to fight about it. I don't want to argue. I don't want to talk about it.
And you know,
I don't care.
at this point, we have people complaining about wearing a mask when there's people on the other side of the world who are putting tags with their children's blood type in their clothing in case they get hurt. We have to really kind of change our priorities and our thinking over this side of the world. And I had a friend who had said something like, she's like, oh, well, even with that going on, we're not going to war because we've had a pandemic for 2 years and it's not a good time. First of all, global pandemic.
Yeah, global
Pandemic. And second of all, it's not a good time.
Yeah, we're not. It's just not right for us right now.
We're just going to tell them, no, maybe come back later. Maybe then we'll come out. But that's not how this shit works. It's never a good time.
You have a crazy person attacking a country.
Right.
Like,
and the people of the country don't want this either. We have one crazy person.
Yep.
So it's just really, I don't know.
I know. I'm with you. It's a really weird time.
And I know we are so, I'm not a religious person at all, but we are so blessed over here that we are so far and departed from it that it's just on our screen. It's not an immediate danger.
Yeah. No, it's, I mean, yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I don't know, you know, this whole thing could go back to Cold War times where we're all, you know, in a situation
that we don't know
with the Cuban Missile Crisis. That, you know, if you don't look at history and you don't look back and you don't say, you know what, all this can happen again. You know, Cuba isn't far from Florida. FYI, people.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, we have a lot of defenses. You know, great. But, you know, when you start talking and you start poking global powers,
yeah,
you know, it's not a good situation.
And, you know,
think in Russia, you know,
and we're over here, you know, going to the movies and people are dying.
I mean, it's wild. I feel bad about for everybody. And I am, you know, I am Ukrainian, so it's always a little something where, and I have never been able to visit, which I've always wanted to go to Ukraine and visit because, you know, I'm Canadian and Ukrainian at the same time because a lot of Ukrainians immigrated to the United States through Canada. So a lot of the families start here and they flee and they went through
and came in.
And that's why there's so many of them that went into Michigan, which is where I'm from. So, you know, you always have those ties that tie you to the rest of the world that, you know, you may not have explored as much as you wanted to, but then you just, it just hurts your heart to see these stories. And there was one story, I don't know if you saw it, it was on Twitter, where they were attacking this little island. It looked like an island or like a plateau or something. And there was like 13 people that lived there. And the Russian things were like, you need to surrender or we'll attack. And they were like, fuck you. and they all died defending their homes.
Right.
I think that's, you know.
I mean, and there was, I've seen the story going around and I don't know if it's true or not. There's a video of a little old lady who walks up to a soldier and telling him to put sunflower seeds in his pocket because when they kill him, at least his body will feed their national flower. And I was like, okay.
Damn. Let me tell you.
That's badass. I'm sorry.
Lady.
I hope the story is true. And the video she is shown walking away. But then there's videos of Russians protesting, getting arrested, and you know they're not coming back. So
there's a lot of protests. I mean, it was like they were showing all of that on social media, it was a there were protests in, I think, 30 parts of Russia.
Right.
You know, and no one wants it.
No.
I mean, as far as I can tell, like, I don't see anyone except for Fox News. I don't think anyone else wants.
So I did see a video comparing Fox News reports and Russian reports, and it's almost line for line propaganda, the same stuff. And I'm like, when are we going to wake up that they're getting fed this?
People are becoming indoctrinated so much, you know, and the thing is, nations fall. They don't fall from being attacked straight on. They fall from being attacked underneath. And that's what's been happening to the US. Everyone is
Years.
China, Russia, you know, it's all this stuff that fucks with people's brains because they don't understand and they don't know what to believe anymore. And that's what's going on. And it's all about money.
Yeah. And the infighting here.
Yeah. When you can buy politicians, when you can buy people who are running that country, then you don't have anything left to fight. And it's very sad. And our hearts and everyone from Becky and myself and everyone at unpaidmoviecritics.com helping us, the staff of 55, we our hearts go out to everybody. We send all of the best wishes to everyone in Ukraine. And you know, our hearts, thoughts, and prayers are going there because it's on everybody's mind here. And I don't know if that's really shown as much as it could be because it's on everybody's mind here.
It is.
So don't think that you're alone because we're all, you know, rooting and praying and sending all those, whatever we can, you know, there's not much we can do, sadly, but whatever we can, we are definitely trying.
No, there's not much at this point. Although I will say, tying it back to movies, did you see that Sean Penn flew his ass over there to make a documentary of it?
I did not.
Which I have so many thoughts on this because, I mean, first of all, that's entitled, and stay out of the way. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're taking, if something happens to him, they're going to help him where they could have been helping somebody that actually is from there and needed it.
I mean, I think, look, I am all about people using their voice to help and do what they can.
But is he a journalist?
You know, he does a lot of nonprofit work.
Okay.
And he does a lot of work where he helps a lot of countries. I think I'm going to go on a limb and say this is his way of trying to shed light on it and show people what's going on, which I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't know his motivations, obviously, but I will definitely give him the benefit of the doubt.
Which I get, but at the same time, he's purposely putting himself in danger.
Yes. And it's true.
You know, and possibly taking away resources if something were to happen to him.
I agree. But at the same time, if something does happen to him, you know, okay. But
then it will be a big news story taking away from the attention of what needs to be covered, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, no, 100% true. I do feel like to negate what's happening, like let's say on Fox, showing what's actually happening with footage is very much a powerful medium. And I say that because, especially with the riots, the Capitol riots that happened, I was like, oh my God, this is awful. Like everybody else, watched the news. And then I saw the documentary that they did. And I think it was on HBO Max or Hulu. I couldn't remember. It was brilliant though. It was absolutely brilliant. I didn't want to watch it. And I was like, one day I just clicked it on. Blown away by what actually happened and the people that they interviewed. I had zero idea it was what that was because some people minimized it. Some people reported what they knew. It was like, you don't know at the time when it's all happening, what's actually going on.
Yeah.
The documentary was there in the midst of it. And you had these guys who were dudes, you know, it's like they were like
big guys.
You don't fuck with this man. You can tell. And to watch him talk about it and what happened to him broke my heart. because he had, he was in the military, and he fought, and this week goes, nothing like I ever seen. He goes, the what actually happened, and they pulled him, and this mob was going to kill him. And I think he said something to the effect of, "I have kids," and snap some people out of this.
The mob mentality.
Yeah, and it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating, because you watch it now. I mean, like the PTSD behind his eyes was unlike a lot of anything I've seen, and the footage of it was unlike anything I've seen. So if we get something like that from what's happening here, what he's doing, I do think there's a point. But again, I agree with you at the same time. Like, well, maybe you should just, I mean, like, what is the balance and how do you do it?
Right.
So I guess it's like we'll only be able to see it in the wash, because that documentary shed so much light on the January 6th riots. I highly recommend people look for it. I wish I had the name because it wasn't what we were planning on talking about. But it was brilliant. It was so good, and it opened my eyes a lot to what actually happened. Even though I knew it was bad, I knew it was wrong, and I knew all of it. To see it like that with a whole different perspective.
So, and I will say, like with social media, this is like the first, and I will say this is a war at this point. It is not quite the global scale yet, but it's the first one that we can watch unfold on social media. Now, YouTube will censor and block videos with violence and all of that. And this is where the TikTok thing kind of comes in handy. And I think on Twitter, you see the videos as well. But TikTok, people are live streaming and showing what's happening in their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I find it, one, the firsthand accounts fascinating, but two, that we're actually able to see it as it's happening. It's, I mean, there's always that you have to be skeptical somewhat. It could be something else happening somewhere else. We don't know 100% where they are, or if that person is actually, that's happening. But at the same time, some of this shit, why would they make that up?
And can they? I mean, look,
Right.
we're not people, the general, I don't even know what kind of can manipulate it on a live stream, but 100%. I do think it's interesting. I do think that's what social media has done, is given people a platform and a voice. I think that when, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And something like this is perfect for documenting. It's like letting people know what's going on. But now, and to the reverse, for what someone like Sean Penn maybe is trying to do, which again, I don't know his motivation, so I'm just throwing out there as a disclaimer, asterisk, everything. To have him do something and then put it on like HBO Max to show people really could reach my mother or my, your grandmother, people who wouldn't actually be able to get on TikTok and know what's going on.
But at the same time,
also powerful.
Isn't that what journalists are supposed to be there for? That they're risking their lives to report on it.
Well, who's to say who's a journalist now? Is a journalist a person who's documenting what's happening in their backyard? Is a journalist you or me? Is a journalist the guy at Fox News who seems to be just there to push an agenda?
Right.
What is it anymore? All the lines have been blurred as far as I'm concerned. Every line we've ever had, I think, has been turned to mush.
Right. And it's,
I mean, it's a weird thing. It's
really
like
is.
Someone asked me about writing the other day. They're like, "Oh, you're a writer." And I go, "I consider myself a creator. Because I don't want to just write, I want to produce. I want to get my work done.
Right.
I want that I wrote, produced, made, created, finished, edited, and done." So if I look at myself as a writer, that writer will be like, "Oh, I got optioned. Yay." So someone paid you $5,000 and took your script for 7 years. No, I don't want that. I want to get my stuff done the way it needs to be done.
Right.
So I look at myself as a creator as opposed to just a writer. And I think it's a perspective that everyone needs to have right now, because these lines are all blurred.
Well, that's what people, I've been called, oh God, the worst one ever, mommy blogger, because I'm a woman, so I must be a mommy. That one, or I'm a blogger, or I was at a press event for a luxury car brand. And I heard an old journalist go, "Oh, she's the mommy blogger." First of all, not a mommy. Second of all, just because I have a uterus doesn't mean I choose to use it. But I consider myself a content creator because I create videos. I do photo layouts. I do graphics. I do all of this stuff. It's not, my articles now, because it's mostly movies, I pull images. But before, I was creating every single image, photos, everything.
Yep.
It's not just writing, which writing is a part of it.
Exactly. And that goes to all my point. That's journalism. That's what journalists would do. That's everything, your research and going and documentation. So that's why all these lines have been blurred, I think. So I don't consider someone like him going out there such a weird thing, because
I just don't know that he's the,
is he the right person? That's a question. That's a whole different subject.
yeah, I want to know, and I guess I need to read and find out, do some research of why he chose to go, other than, I mean, all of us have this feeling, this pull that we need to do more. I understand that. But what can we do?
We're right. And I mean, honestly, Sean Penn has done a lot of humanitarian work. He's worked for a lot of charities in bringing water to places that don't have it. I do know a smidgen of what he has done. Doesn't mean he's a nice guy, but it does mean
I don't know him from Adam, so
he's done these things that he's definitely tried to help.
Right.
No, so I don't think it's out of the blue or out of the ordinary for him to do something like this.
Which is good. I just, again, don't know his motivation, or I don't think and while I'm saying this and I'm critiquing him for doing it, I'm not saying it in a way that I think he's going to do it just to make money. I just want to know what he thinks he's going to be able to add to it,
100%.
and positively add to it, not to the body count, because we don't want any more or any other deaths, honestly.
Yeah, it's awful. But again, we just so again, from both of us and our entire staff, we just hearts and prayers, and this will be resolved at some point soon, and that can only be the prayer that we have, is that it is resolved soon. And again, with people of Ukraine, we stand with you. So woohoo. So anyway, thank you for joining us again today, New Zealand, and everybody.
As always, we don't stay on topic because we don't have topics anymore.
And my grandma, my mom, and Becky's family who watches, thank you guys again, and we will catch you next week on unpaidmoviecritics.com.
See you later, guys.